Welcome. Your mind is about to be tangled in a web of logic so bizarre it might never escape. Paradoxes are strange contradictions, puzzles that challenge what we think we know about reality, time, identity, and existence itself. Some are just fun thought experiments. Others expose deep flaws in our understanding of the universe. And just when you think you've wrapped your head around one, the next will pull the rug from under you. Let's begin. Bootstrap Paradox. Imagine a world where time travel isn't just a wild fantasy reserved for science fiction, but an integral part of normal life. In this extraordinary reality, you possess a device that allows you to traverse the fabric of time, flitting between the past and the future at will. The possibilities are endless. Reliving cherished memories, attending pivotal historical events, or even gleaning secrets from the future to enhance your present life. As exhilarating as this sounds, the moment you step into the realm of time travel, you also step into a complex web of paradoxes. None are more perplexing than the bootstrap paradox, a cerebral riddle that leaves even the most seasoned thinkers grappling with its implications. To illustrate the bootstrap paradox, let's consider a simple scenario that will serve as our entry point. Imagine you find a handwritten book, one that is a profound work of philosophy. The text resonates with you deeply, filled with insights that feel timeless. Intrigued, you slip the book into your bag with the intention of uncovering its origins. However, as you delve into the pages, you quickly discover that this book lacks an author, making it all the more captivating. The mystery intensifies when you realize that the book contains detailed instructions on time travel, a concept that has never been publicly documented. Fascinated, you decide to travel back in time with the book in hand. You meet a younger version of the philosopher whose profound ideas you admired. An intriguing conversation unfolds, and you share the text from the book with him. As he reads and absorbs the contents, you witness a spark in his mind. He became inspired to expand on those very ideas, eventually penning a more refined version of the text, which creates a lasting legacy. At this point, you've unwittingly contributed to the creation of your own time machine's manuscript. But here's the kicker. Who is the original author of the book? The function of that book now hangs in the air of causality. Its existence becomes a closed loop, seemingly arising out of nowhere. The bootstrap paradox raises the tantalizing question. If the book came from the future, how can it have an original author? The implications of such a scenario unfold like a complex spiral, forcing us to examine the nature of causality, time, and existence itself. The bootstrap paradox energetically engages our perception of time, prompting us to consider if it is linear or cyclical. Traditional understandings of time revolve around a linear trajectory, one that moves from the past into the future without retraction. Yet, the bootstrap paradox shakes this notion, illustrating how time might be inherently complex and interwoven, leading us into deeper realms of inquiry. It can tempt the imagination toward contemplating not just time travel, but the very mechanics of how events might influence one another across time. As we plunge deeper into this paradox, let's explore its implications in the context of storytelling and literature. Numerous classic novels, films, and series have toyed with time travel concepts, offering vivid portrayals of the bootstrap paradox. One notable example is the iconic science fiction film Back to the Future. In this beloved classic, Marty McFly travels back in time and inadvertently alters the events that must happen in order for him to exist in the future. The implications of Marty's actions affect his parents' meeting, resulting in the paradoxical cascade that leads to Marty's eventual return, and the mere existence of the time machine itself becomes a result of these events. Another fascinating exploration appears in the realm of comic books, where time travel serves as a common plot device. Characters like Doctor Who and various superheroes often face the intricacies of the bootstrap paradox as they navigate timelines and alternate universes. The paradox takes numerous shapes in these plots, compelling audiences to engage with the allure and complexity of causality and the nature of characters' identities. Yet, the bootstrap paradox doesn't just exist in fantastical tales. It invites a profound exploration of existence itself. What are the implications if things can exist without origins, as suggested by this paradox? This presents a compelling philosophical inquiry, probing the very nature of identity and creation. Can something exist merely because it was sent back through time? How do we define the beginnings of ideas, inventions, or even ourselves? If we could pinpoint a single source of inspiration, does that diminish our perception of collective creativity? This paradox also unravels threads of fate and free will, two aspects heavily debated throughout history. When considering the bootstrap paradox, one might ponder whether events are predetermined. If you write a book that influences a philosopher, and that philosopher uses your book to create something that inspires you to go back and write the book in the first place, does this indicate a cyclical nature of fate? Are our choices genuinely ours, or are they preordained by the very actions that we take? Moreover, on a socio-cultural level, consider how the bootstrap paradox permeates our understanding of legacy and influence. Each generation builds upon the previous one, creating a rich tapestry of thought and progress. Artists inspire other artists. Thinkers give birth to new philosophies, and innovations become stepping stones for future advancements. This mirrors the essence of the bootstrap paradox, where seemingly original ideas carry the remnants of those that preceded them. From an educational perspective, the bootstrap paradox encourages us to approach knowledge and expertise with a sense of humility. The insights we hold dear often arise from a continuum of learning, reflection, and influence. Just as the philosopher was inspired by your book, so too might we recognize that our insights are products of history, shaped by those who preceded us, not isolated flashes of brilliance. Therefore, acknowledging this interconnectedness may humble us as we contemplate our contributions to the broader discourse of life. As we think about the historical narrative, how might we interpret the bootstrap paradox in the context of collective consciousness? Carl Jung's notion of the collective unconscious invites us to explore shared ideas that transcend individual experience. This concept paints a picture where certain archetypes and motifs arise independently across cultures, suggesting a web of interconnected thought that weaves through time, akin to the bootstrap paradox itself. The ideas may echo, re-emerging centuries later. How do we account for this phenomenon? Are we merely recapturing lost thoughts, or revisiting stories that were always present in the realm of consciousness? In the pursuit of understanding the implications of the bootstrap paradox, we also venture into the realm of quantum theory. In recent discussions, the relationship between time and quantum mechanics has stirred heated debates among scientists and philosophers alike. Within quantum frameworks, time can take on dizzying dimensions, leading scientists to question whether events are linear or interconnected across alternate realities. Concepts like entanglement resonate with the ideas found in the bootstrap paradox, hinting that events in one part of the universe might influence those in another instantaneously. Consider how the notion of parallel universes surfaces alongside the bootstrap paradox. The multiverse theory, positing that various timelines coexist simultaneously, presents a realm where paradoxes like this might unravel differently. If one were to send information or objects back in time and alter events, they might trigger a cascade of alternate realities rather than reforming a singular timeline. This exploration encourages engagement not just with causality, but with multiple realities, altering how we perceive identity, choice, and consequence. As we wrestle with the mysteries of time, the bootstrap paradox invites us to embrace uncertainty, that notion that we are often dancing on the line of the unknown. In our own lives, consider the idea that past events shape your reality but don't define it entirely. Can you think of moments where your choices flipped the script, creating ripples that appeared unforeseen? Each decision resonates far beyond its initial impact, adding vibrancy to your personal narrative while intertwining with the stories of others. In conclusion, the bootstrap paradox casts a brilliant light on intricate notions of time, causality, and existence. It compels us to acknowledge the cycles of inspiration that define our creativity, autonomy, and legacy. As you integrate these thoughts into your understanding of time and influence, remember that each choice you make sends out ripples, not entirely unlike the book handed from future to past in the paradox. So as we traverse this rich landscape of ideas, where will our exploration take us next? Are we ready to embrace the next layer of paradoxes waiting to be unraveled? The journey is far from over, offering endless horizons filled with exhilarating discoveries. Paradox of choice. In a world overflowing with options, the freedom to choose is often celebrated as an emblem of empowerment and individuality. Picture yourself entering a quaint little cafe filled with promise. The aroma of fresh coffee wafts through the air, and colorful pastries glisten under the display case. As you approach, your heart races at the array of choices laid before you. Coffees, teas, smoothies, and an overwhelming selection of pastries. You might think, more choice means more freedom. However, as you stand there, each option morphs into a source of anxiety rather than liberation, leading you to question if that abundance is truly a blessing or a curse. This is the essence of the paradox of choice, a phenomenon that illustrates how having too many options can lead to paralysis rather than empowerment. At the heart of the paradox of choice is a concept put forth by psychologist Barry Schwartz in his book, The Paradox of Choice: Why More is Less. Schwartz argues that while we often equate choice with freedom and satisfaction, an excess of options can overwhelm us, leading to confusion, fear of making the wrong choice, and ultimately dissatisfaction. This creates a striking realization. The very freedom that choice represents can become a double-edged sword. But how does this paradox manifest in our lives? To understand the paradox of choice, it is essential to explore the psychology behind decision-making. Cognitive overload occurs when the number of options presented exceeds our ability to evaluate them effectively. When faced with too many choices, anxiety can set in. This condition often leads to a tendency to avoid decisions altogether or to procrastinate. Think about how this can play out in personal relationships. With countless dating apps available, for instance, we might find ourselves swiping through an endless sea of profiles, becoming paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice, of potentially turning away Miss or Mr. Right. Schwartz underscores a crucial dynamic of this paradox. In a world where individuals grapple with indecision, even the act of choosing can create a sense of regret. This is termed buyer's remorse, and it frequently surfaces after we make a significant decision. For instance, following the selection of a new car, one might dive into a flurry of research about features and models only to second-guess their choice. Even when the chosen car meets their needs, thoughts of, "What if there was a better option?" can plague the mind. This regret, often magnified by the sheer volume of options, can lead to dissatisfaction and anxiety, further reinforcing the paradox of choice. As we explore this concept, it's essential to connect it to the societal implications of choice. In cultures that prioritize individualism and autonomy, consumers typically feel justified in seeking the best possible outcome from every decision they make. However, this constant pursuit of the best can become exhausting. The pressure to make perfect choices can stifle spontaneity. It may lead individuals to overanalyze even the smallest decisions. It begs the question, at what point did choice shift from a simple act of selection to an overwhelming mental burden? The technological revolution has exacerbated the paradox of choice. With the rise of e-commerce and online platforms, shoppers are presented with limitless products and services, creating an environment ripe for decision fatigue. Consider the experience of logging onto a streaming service. Faced with hundreds of movies and TV shows, the simple act of selecting a film rapidly turns into an endless scrolling session. This ambiguity can catalyze frustration and fatigue, enforcing the notion that even the simplest decisions can become monumental struggles. This landscape has implications beyond personal dilemmas. It extends into the world of consumer economics and marketing. Businesses have recognized the challenges that consumer choice presents, adapting strategies to optimize decision-making. While it might seem counterintuitive, simplifying choices has proven effective. In several contexts, the addition of fewer options has been shown to boost sales. This leads us to ponder how marketers can harness the paradox of choice to create a better consumer experience. For example, clothing retailers might limit collections to seasonal offerings, allowing customers to focus on a select few items. In a study conducted by Schwartz and his colleagues, they demonstrated that consumers who had access to 6 types of jam were more likely to purchase than those presented with 24 varieties. The sheer array of options can lead to analysis paralysis, where potential buyers choose not to buy anything at all. Less can indeed be more in decision-making, a notion that challenges the conventional wisdom that more options equate to higher satisfaction. As you navigate the complexities of choice, consider how you can apply the lessons of this paradox to your own life. Mindfulness and intentional decision-making become crucial tools. With every choice that you face, big or small, take a moment to ground yourself and evaluate what truly matters. Reflect on your core values and simplify your choices by focusing solely on options that align with your authentic self. The paradox compels you to ponder not only your decisions, but also your mindset surrounding them. Let's extend this exploration further and think about how the paradox of choice can shape societal roles and expectations. As individuals are bombarded with messages advocating for personal choice and fulfillment, we can easily lose sight of the beauty of limitation. The idea of having it all can lead to unrealistic expectations that create distress when faced with difficult choices. In relationships, for example, this can translate into unrealistic benchmarks that influence how we perceive love and companionship. The quest for the perfect partner may fuel discontent and insecurity in a time when society emphasizes that the best is just a swipe away or a click away. This notion of infinite choices influences not only personal satisfaction, but also our relationships with others. In the dating scene, for instance, the overwhelming plethora of potential partners can trigger feelings of inadequacy or dissatisfaction. Disillusionment may arise when individuals find it difficult to settle for one partner when another could be just a click away. This dynamic leads to a cycle of constant searching for someone better, mirroring the paradox of choice by emphasizing quantity over quality. The impact of choice extends even into the sphere of professional aspirations. With various career options available, individuals may grapple with the fear of choosing wrong as they map out their paths. The pressure to thrive professionally can cultivate a sense of anxiety, creating an environment where individuals believe that they must maximize every opportunity and minimize risk. This can lead to analysis paralysis, where potential candidates find themselves frozen amid potential job offers or decisions, thinking they might be missing out on something better. This brings us to an essential concept: satisficing versus maximizing. While maximizing refers to seeking the best possible outcome, satisficing embraces making a choice that meets one's criteria for acceptance without necessarily striving for perfection. Schwartz argues that adopting a satisficing mindset can alleviate the burdens placed upon us by the paradox of choice. It encourages individuals to accept that good enough is indeed enough, freeing them from the endless cycle of comparison and regret. By shifting your perspective and embracing the notion of satisficing, you create mental space to appreciate the present moment and foster gratitude for the choices you have made. Moreover, we should dive into the impact of the paradox of choice in public policy and community planning. Governments often grapple with choices that affect entire communities, and recognizing the burdens of excessive options can lead to more considerate policies. For instance, when communities design parks or public spaces, limiting choices, such as the number of playgrounds or recreational facilities, may yield more participation and satisfaction among residents. Designing environments that simplify choices can facilitate deeper engagement and create meaningful experiences that foster community cohesion. As we delve deeper into our lives shaped by this paradox, take moments to examine your initiatives surrounding self-care. In today's fast-paced society, self-care can feel like a feat unto itself, especially when faced with endless options for wellness strategies: yoga, meditation, mindfulness apps, skincare routines, and so much more. Instead of focusing on being the healthiest or happiest, consider focusing on what truly resonates with your values and your well-being. Acknowledging what works for you personally grants you the freedom to let go of that anxiety. In essence, the paradox of choice calls upon us to reflect on the complexity of human behavior in a world brimming with options. Instead of allowing abundance to ignite stress, this paradox encourages exploration and mindfulness regarding choices made. Take a moment to appreciate the richness of experience and the ability to navigate through life's myriad pathways. With every decision, no matter how small, remind yourself that the journey of choice carries its own weight of significance. As you ponder over this paradox, also think about how your choices ripple outwards. The realm of choice extends well beyond the personal. It impacts relationships, careers, and even the well-being of society. Acknowledging the power of decisions invites you to consider the larger consequences of choice within your community. Consider how your choices connect with others, creating a web of relationships shaped by the myriad decisions we make, often unconsciously. Ultimately, the paradox of choice flickers like a beacon, inviting you to examine your perceptions of freedom, fulfillment, and dissatisfaction. The ability to choose, while seemingly liberating, can also obscure the clarity of the path. Recognizing this paradox inspires you to cultivate a deeper understanding of the choices influencing your life while encouraging a mindset tuned to quality over quantity. As you reflect on the complexities of decision-making, it's essential to embrace both the freedom and accountability that comes with your choices. Each choice holds the potential for self-discovery and growth. In navigating the paradox of choice, where will the journey lead you next? Are you ready to step forward and embrace the intricacies of choice with newfound intentions and awareness? There are boundless layers waiting to be explored as we continue our voyage through the labyrinth of paradoxes. What unique discoveries lay ahead as we journey forth? Ship of Theseus. Imagine a grand ship, once a magnificent vessel that sailed countless waters, its majestic sails catching the sun's light as it traversed from port to port. This ship, known as the Ship of Theseus, was not just a mode of transportation. It was a symbol of exploration and adventure, holding within its hull the stories of countless journeys. However, time is relentless, and the wood begins to rot, the sails fray, and the ship requires repairs. As parts of the ship, the wood of the hull, the sails, and even the rudder, are replaced one by one, an intriguing question arises. When does the Ship of Theseus stop being the Ship of Theseus? Now, here's where it gets fascinating. Picture this. Every single plank of wood is meticulously replaced until, eventually, none of the original materials remain. Yet, the ship continues to sail on, bearing the same name and purpose. Is it still the same ship? What makes an object fundamentally what it is? Is it the material it's made from, or does its identity derive from its form, function, and history? This question plagues philosophers and thinkers alike, sparking debates throughout history. Some insist that continuity is key, arguing that as long as the ship retains the same form and fulfills the same role, it must still be regarded as the Ship of Theseus. Others assert that with each changing component, the ship becomes a new entity entirely, thus losing its original identity. As we delve deeper, consider the implications of this paradox in our everyday lives. We are like the Ship of Theseus, aren't we? Our bodies replace cells constantly, millions of them throughout our lives. Yet we perceive ourselves as a continuous identity. This raises even more questions. What does it mean to be you? if every single part of your body changes over time, are you still the same person you were years ago? This notion compels us to ponder the very essence of selfhood. Now, let's complicate matters further. Imagine that while our ship is being meticulously restored, there exists a scenario where all the original parts removed from the ship of Theseus are replanted together to create an identical vessel. Which of the two ships is the true ship of Theseus? Or, indeed, are both equally authentic? Imagine two ships, one born of gradual replacement, while the other is reborn from the original parts. Both lay claim to the legacy of Theseus, the heroic character from Greek mythology, an inseparable part of maritime lore. As we explore this paradox, the concepts of identity, continuity, and memory intertwine in a complex dance. Does an object's history contribute to its identity? A ship that retains all its history, albeit not a single original plank, sails the ocean, experiencing the same turbulent waters and witnessing breathtaking sunsets. Meanwhile, the rebuilt ship, made whole again from its original pieces, has yet to create a single new memory. The ship of Theseus finds itself quietly echoing through time, raising significant philosophical queries. Are memories vital to maintaining our identities? We often tie memories to specific places, objects, or times, asserting a connection between our experiences and our sense of self. So, what if you were to wake up one day with no memories of who you were, but your body remains unchanged? This leads us to another path of inquiry, a thought experiment, if you will. What if we could document a ship's journey, marking each replacement of a part on a timeline, observing the gradual change? We'd then confront our perceptions. Would you still see this ship as a continuation of the original if every shift were recorded? Or would certain significant milestones, like the first voyage or tragic moments during a storm, hold greater weight in determining its identity? Exploring the ship of Theseus demonstrates how fluid and complicated notions of identity can be. Objects are often defined by their relationships and memories, and disconnecting any part of this web could lead to altered perceptions. This can be unsettling, opening up a Pandora's box of confusion. Just imagine anchoring your beliefs in something as mutable as perception. Uniquely, the ship of Theseus not only raises questions about identity in objects, but also how we understand change. Change is a vessel steering through turbulent waters, fundamental yet sometimes confrontational. Accepting change in ourselves can feel overwhelming, yet it reminds us of our ability to adapt, grow, and redefine ourselves. In your own life, consider the moments that you experienced transformative change. Perhaps the shift was a new friendship, a career change, or a belief you once held but have since let go of. As you move forward, can you look back at those moments and still recognize the person you once were? Ultimately, this paradox isn't merely philosophical, it has real-world applications, inviting us to consider ownership, rights, and even nostalgia. Whether in discussions surrounding collective heritage or debates about modification of art and memories, the implications of the ship of Theseus ripple through our understanding of existence. So, as we sail further into this serene sea of thought, ponder on the paradox and let it weave tales in your mind. The ship of Theseus is only the beginning of a deeper exploration into the essence of change, identity, and our intertwined connections in the world. So where does this journey take us next? Dichotomy paradox. Imagine you're about to embark on a journey from point A to point B. You grab your bag, take a deep breath, and step outside, ready to tackle the world. But before you even move from your starting point, you need to cover half the distance to point B. But as soon as you reach that halfway point, another obstacle arises. You must now travel to the halfway point of that half. Then, to the halfway point of that next segment, and so on, ad infinitum. Suddenly, the simple task of walking toward your destination seems infinitely convoluted. Welcome to the dichotomy paradox, a mind-bending philosophical puzzle that challenges our understanding of movement and reality. At its core, the dichotomy paradox suggests that to reach a destination, you must first reach halfway, then halfway again, continuing this infinitely. Who wouldn't start to wonder if reaching point B is even possible? This paradox illustrates a peculiar aspect of infinite divisibility. According to ancient Greek philosopher Zeno of Elea, the act of motion is an illusion, challenged by the very nature of dividing movement into smaller and smaller segments. As we dive into this intricately woven puzzle, it's essential to reconsider the assumptions we hold about our capabilities and actions. Can an infinite number of steps ever amount to a finite distance? Zeno's paradox extends far beyond mere walking. It raises questions about the very fabric of reality and the laws of mathematics. After all, if you could never reach point B, does motion exist at all? This idea can send shivers down your spine as you begin to question your own movements and the world around you. Now, let's transition from the philosophical musings to something more concrete. One possible solution to this conundrum lies within the realm of calculus, developed centuries later by pioneers like Isaac Newton and Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. They introduced concepts of limits and the idea of converging series, ultimately allowing us to sum an infinite sequence of diminishing fractions. Through this lens, we can find that although the number of steps might be infinite, the total distance actually converges to a finite value. As unimaginable as it seems, you really can reach point B. But before you catch your breath, let's flip the script and delve deeper into the implications of this paradox. Picture it through the lens of life's challenges. Have you ever felt overwhelmed, staring down a task so monumental that breaking it into smaller pieces seemed impossible? The dichotomy paradox embodies that feeling vividly. Life often presents us with grand ambitions, but each aspiration is riddled with infinite smaller tasks that can feel insurmountable. However, the leap of faith lies in your ability to take that first step. This idea mirrors our experiences with procrastination and self-doubt. We might find ourselves hesitating, mired in the belief that it's impossible to progress because we can't conquer it all at once. Just as with the dichotomy paradox, it's crucial to recognize that while we may be faced with an infinite number of hurdles, each small step leads us closer to our destination. Each effort, no matter how small, contributes to your journey, propelling you forward. It's this realization that empowers your trajectory in life. Now imagine the ramifications of this paradox not just in terms of personal growth, but also in the wider scope of society. The dichotomy paradox also opens the door to debates in physics and philosophy, especially in discussions about the nature of time and space. If we consider time as a series of instants, just as our journey is made up of smaller distances, The paradox questions if we truly experience time or if we merely perceive a flow that is as disconnected as the steps we take. As we navigate this swirling ocean of ideas, consider another layer: the impacts of technology on our perception of movement. In today's world, we can traverse vast distances in mere moments, thanks to advancements in transportation and communication. Have we unwittingly transcended Zeno's concerns? The instantaneous nature of modern life challenges our grasp of these timeless philosophical problems. We can now engage with people across continents, access knowledge within milliseconds, and traverse landscapes at unprecedented speeds. Ironically, as we experience these advancements, we must ask ourselves, are we truly moving forward, or are we simply experiencing an illusion of progress? Moreover, let's not overlook the metaphorical implications of the dichotomy paradox for our relationships. Consider how people often drift apart and yet feel stuck in their current situations. Each small interaction could be thought of as a step toward reconnection, yet individuals often hesitate to take that leap, feeling segmented and distant. However, like the paradox itself, it's important to remember that every small effort can lead to tangible change, slowly bridging the gap toward a deeper connection. As you process this paradox, allow it to echo in your mind, challenging your perceptions of movement, both physically and metaphorically. Whether stepping onto a path, reaching toward a dream, or working to connect with a loved one, the journey often feels daunting. Yet, take solace in the knowledge that no matter how infinite the steps ahead may appear, each action you take brings you closer to your destination. And so we find ourselves at a juncture, much like the paradox itself, both seemingly convoluted and profoundly enlightening. The dichotomy. Paradox isn't merely a labyrinth of thought. It's a testament to the strength of resilience. As we ponder the next horizon of our thoughts, what mysteries will we unravel next? Grandfather paradox. Imagine this. You build a time machine, step inside, and set the dials for the past, decades before you were even born. You arrive in a time when your grandfather is still young, before he ever met your grandmother, before your parents were even a thought. Now, you make a decision. For whatever reason, maybe out of curiosity, maybe by accident, you prevent your grandfather from ever meeting your grandmother. Maybe you warn him away from the love of his life. Maybe you take more drastic measures. The result is the same. He never has children, which means your parents are never born, which means you are never born. But wait, if you were never born, then you never could have traveled back in time to stop your grandfather in the first place. So how did you do it? If your actions erased your own existence, then you should never have existed to commit those actions at all. This is the grandfather paradox, one of the most famous thought experiments in time travel. It's a logical contradiction that makes the very concept of changing the past seem impossible. But before we conclude that time travel itself is nonsense, let's break this paradox down, piece by piece. At its core, the grandfather paradox challenges the very nature of cause and effect. We are used to thinking of time as a straight line, where one event leads naturally to the next. If you change something in the past, logic tells us that the effects of that change should ripple forward. But what happens if that change negates your own existence? That's where things get strange. Scientists and philosophers have spent decades wrestling with this paradox. It's not just a fun sci-fi concept. It has real implications for how we understand time, reality, and even physics itself. If time travel to the past is possible, how does the universe stop these contradictions from happening? Or does it? Over the years, multiple theories have emerged attempting to resolve this paradox. Let's explore some of the most mind-bending possibilities. One idea, suggested by physicist Igor Novikov, is that time won't allow paradoxes to happen. If you travel to the past, something will always intervene to stop you from changing it in a way that creates a contradiction. Maybe the time machine malfunctions just as you arrive. Maybe you get hit by a bus before you can stop your grandfather from meeting your grandmother. Or maybe, no matter how hard you try, you always fail. The universe subtly guides events so that history remains unchanged. This theory suggests that time is like a river. You can dip your hand into it, create ripples, but you can't change the course of the river itself. If true, it means time travel to the past could exist, but only in a way that preserves consistency. Another popular solution comes from quantum mechanics, the idea that reality is not a single timeline, but an infinite web of possibilities. When you go back and change the past, you don't erase your own existence. Instead, you create a new timeline where events unfold differently. In this new branch of reality, your grandfather never meets your grandmother, and you are never born. But in your original timeline, nothing has changed. You still exist. This means that every action taken in the past spins off a separate reality, an infinite number of parallel universes branching out from every decision ever made. Some scientists, like Hugh Everett, argue that this kind of quantum branching is happening all the time, even without time travel. If true, then time travelers wouldn't be rewriting history. They'd simply be creating new versions of it. What if your trip to the past was always meant to happen? Instead of changing history, you were actually fulfilling it. Maybe your interference was the reason your grandfather met your grandmother in the first place. Maybe the actions you thought would prevent your birth were the very things that ensured it. This idea is sometimes called a causal loop or predestination paradox, a cycle where the past, present, and future are locked in a self-contained loop. If true, then paradoxes don't actually exist, because time is already set in a way that prevents contradictions. So, where does all of this leave us? Is time travel just a fun sci-fi fantasy, or could it be real? Physicists have discovered that time travel into the future is definitely possible. Thanks to Einstein's theory of relativity, we know that time slows down for objects moving at incredibly high speeds. If an astronaut travels near the speed of light, they could return to Earth and find that years, or even centuries, have passed. But traveling backward in time? That's a much bigger challenge. Some theories suggest it might be possible under extreme conditions, such as traversing a wormhole or exploiting cosmic strings. But so far, no one has proven that reversing time in a way that allows us to change the past is possible. The grandfather paradox is more than just a quirky puzzle. It's a window into the deep mysteries of time, causality, and the structure of reality itself. Does time protect itself from paradoxes? Do infinite universes exist to absorb our meddling? Or is time an unbreakable loop where everything is already set in stone? Maybe, just maybe, the answer is out there, waiting for a future traveler to discover it. Or perhaps they already have. But of course, if they did, we'd never know. because they would never have existed to tell us in the first place. Liar's paradox. Imagine someone looks you in the eye and says, "I am lying right now." Your mind starts to spin. If they are telling the truth, then they must be lying. But if they are lying, then they must be telling the truth. This simple statement seems harmless, yet it unravels into an endless cycle of contradiction, a paradox that has puzzled philosophers, logicians, and mathematicians for centuries. At its core, the liar's paradox exposes a fundamental problem with self-referential statements. It creates a loop where no clear resolution exists. If you declare, "This sentence is false," you trap yourself in a logical tug-of-war. If the sentence is true, then it must be false. But if it is false, then it must be true. There is no stable answer, just an endless oscillation between contradiction and reality. This paradox dates back to ancient Greece, where the philosopher Epimenides, a Cretan, supposedly declared, "All Cretans are liars." If this statement is true, then as a Cretan himself, he must be lying, which means his statement is false. But if his statement is false, then not all Cretans are liars, which means some must be telling the truth, including, potentially, Epimenides himself. The logical instability is enough to send anyone into a spiral of confusion. Over the centuries, the paradox has taken many forms, influencing fields beyond philosophy. Mathematicians like Kurt Gödel used similar self-referential logic in his incompleteness theorems, proving that in any sufficiently complex system of mathematics, there are always statements that cannot be proven true or false within the system itself. This shook the foundations of mathematics, showing that even the most rigorous logic has inherent limitations. Computer scientists also wrestle with the implications of self-reference. In programming, an infinite loop can be created by a function that continuously calls itself without a stopping condition. Just as the liar's paradox leads to an unresolvable contradiction, a computer program stuck in an infinite loop is doomed to run indefinitely, never reaching a conclusion. Even artificial intelligence and chatbots face challenges when processing self-referential statements. If an AI is programmed to determine whether statements are true or false and encounters the phrase, "This statement is false," it can become trapped in an endless cycle, unable to categorize the sentence as either true or false. But the paradox isn't just an intellectual curiosity. It has real-world implications in logic, linguistics, and even legal systems. In courtrooms, witnesses swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But what happens when someone makes a statement that contradicts itself? Can truth exist when language itself allows for statements that defy resolution? Consider politics, where doublespeak and contradictory statements often emerge. A politician may claim, "I always keep my promises, except when I don't." This statement, much like the liar's paradox, creates a logical loophole, allowing for ambiguity and avoiding clear accountability. In such cases, truth becomes a fluid concept, shaped as much by perception as by logic. Some have attempted to resolve the paradox by suggesting that self-referential statements should not be considered true or false, but should instead exist outside conventional logic. One approach is the use of a three-valued logic system, where statements can be true, false, or indeterminate. This removes the contradiction, but also forces us to rethink how we understand truth itself. Another approach is to argue that self-referential statements are meaningless. If a sentence does not fit within the structure of logical discourse, it simply has no truth value at all. But this solution feels unsatisfying, as the paradox still exists within language, even if we try to ignore it. The liar's paradox challenges more than just logic. It forces us to confront the limitations of human reasoning. It reminds us that not everything can be neatly categorized as true or false. Some concepts exist in a gray area where contradictions persist, not because of a flaw in logic, but because of the nature of language and thought itself. What does this mean for us in our daily lives? It suggests that certainty is not always possible. The world is filled with contradictions, and sometimes the act of trying to resolve them only deepens the confusion. The paradox serves as a humbling reminder that absolute truth may be an illusion, forever just out of reach. And yet, the paradox persists, defying resolution. Just when you think you've unraveled it, you find yourself back where you started, questioning whether anything can ever truly be proven. But perhaps in that very uncertainty lies the essence of human curiosity, the drive to keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep searching for answers, even when they may never come. Barber Paradox. Imagine a small, quiet village where life unfolds in a rhythm that many would find comforting. Among the charming cottages and winding lanes, there exists a barber named, quite ironically, Bob. Now, Bob is not your average barber. He is a man of principle and rules. His business thrives on one unique and peculiar rule. He shaves only those men who do not shave themselves. So, naturally, the question arises: does Bob shave himself? At first glance, the answer may seem simple. If Bob shaves himself, he contradicts his own rule because he only shaves men who don't shave themselves. Conversely, if he doesn't shave himself, he must then shave himself, as he only shaves men who do not undertake the task on their own. This contradiction is what we refer to as the Barber Paradox, and it invites us into a labyrinth of reasoning and self-reference that challenges our understanding of logic and sets off a chain reaction of existential questions. The Barber Paradox offers a captivating glimpse into the nature of self-reference and the complications that arise from it. This notion of self-reference is critical, not just in philosophy, but also in mathematical systems and computer science. Self-reference occurs when an entity refers to itself, creating situations where definitions can become tangled. Indeed, Bob's dilemma illustrates a fundamental concept. Some systems lead to inconsistencies or contradictions when they encompass their own rules. A pivotal moment in this exploration is the realization that the Barber Paradox is a specific instance of a much broader category of logical paradoxes known as Russell's paradox. Named after the philosopher and logician Bertrand Russell, this paradox emerged from his examination of set theory. Russell pondered what happens when you consider the set of all sets that do not contain themselves. Does such a set exist? If it does, it must both contain and not contain itself. If it doesn't exist, then the efforts to classify and understand sets become puzzling. Russell's paradox highlights that certain self-referential systems can lead to contradictions akin to Bob's plight, illustrating a complex web of ideas that has left mathematicians and philosophers grappling for solutions. As we navigate this philosophical terrain, let's pause and reflect. What does this paradox tell us about societal norms and individual identity? Bob's predicament symbolizes a deeper struggle between adherence to societal expectations and the quest for self-identity. Most individuals navigate a world filled with expectations, who they are versus who they should be. We are often plagued by internal contradictions, caught in the tension between societal definitions and personal truths. Like Bob, we may find ourselves in cages of our own making, restricted by the rigid frameworks imposed by society. Indeed, think about how many roles you assume in life: a partner, a friend, a professional. Each role may come with its own rules, just as Bob adheres to his shaving policy. But when we try to reconcile these different aspects of ourselves, contradictions may surface. Perhaps you feel the pressure to be the dependable friend, even when it comes at a personal cost. It's this tension that the Barber paradox illuminates, an exploration of self-identity against conflicting societal norms. Now, what if we take a step back and consider the broader societal constructs that such paradoxes entail? Take, for instance, the notion of authority figures in various communities. As individuals often look for concrete rules and standards to navigate their lives, the presence of authority can create similar paradoxes. When an authority figure enforces rules while simultaneously engaging in contradictory actions, individuals may find themselves grappling with dissonance. This can lead to profound dilemmas: siding with authority while questioning their values, or conforming to societal norms that often clash with personal beliefs. The narrative of the Barber paradox transcends mere logic, serving as a metaphor for the conflicts we confront in our daily lives. These internal contradictions may manifest in relationships, career paths, and personal aspirations. As we engage with experiences filled with paradox, consider how they shape your identity. How often do you navigate multifaceted expectations imposed by family, friendships, work commitments, and societal norms? Transforming Bob's simple dilemma into a global narrative can deepen our understanding of ourselves and the structures within society. Each contradiction presents an opportunity, a chance to reevaluate our priorities, challenge old beliefs, and create space for identity fluidity. Just as Bob grapples with the paradox of shaving himself or not, we too must confront the complexities of our identities, seeking clarity in a world of nuanced expectations. After all, the human experience is intricately layered, encompassing a range of contradictions within its rich tapestry. Exploring the Barber paradox also connects us to the world of metaphors and language. Language has a way of evoking contrasting concepts, often leading to misinterpretations stemming from self-reference. For instance, statements like, "This statement is false," generate a paradoxical loop, much like Bob's dilemma. This cyclical nature of language can be daunting. It can lead to confusion, misunderstanding, and even miscommunication when language becomes a double-edged sword. Words may hold power, but they can also lead us down tangled paths that challenge our perceptions of truth. Now, let's also highlight some real-world applications of this paradox and its broader implications. Legal systems often grapple with contradictions similar to the Barber paradox. Take, for instance, laws that may conflict with each other, creating a complex landscape for interpretation and application. Imagine a law designed to protect individual rights that inadvertently creates loopholes allowing for abuses. The legal world, notorious for its labyrinthine structure, mirrors the dynamics of the Barber paradox. It's a realm frequented by those who dare to disrupt or interpret convoluted rules. In technology and programming, inconsistencies rooted in self-reference can lead to devastating errors, as self-referential algorithms may spiral into loops of contradiction. In this context, the lessons stemming from the Barber paradox become particularly relevant when defining rules or building structures. Clarity and consistency become crucial to ensure they do not unravel under their own complexity. Just as Bob's rule ultimately traps him in a self-referential loop, the fragility of logical systems can lead to significant consequences when misapplied or misunderstood. As we reflect on Bob's unconventional journey, a compelling notion surfaces. Life is an intricate web of choices, obligation, and contradictions. With each decision we face, we resemble Bob in our attempt to navigate societal rules. It invites us to consider how we can create a new framework that embraces and celebrates our complexities rather than condemns us to rigid binaries. The paradox teaches us that life is seldom black and white. Rather, it is a rich tapestry of colors, textures, and shades that reveal the true beauty of the human experience. Ultimately, the Barber paradox compels us to peel back the layers of self-reference and contradictions that abound in our lives. By unraveling the strands of our identities, we can confront the intricate dance between societal expectations and individual truths. Where does the line between obligation and self-expression lie? How do you navigate the paradoxes that arise within your personal life? As we voyage into the depths of thought, consider this paradox a mirror reflecting your own journey, a call to action in the pursuit of authentic selfhood. As we move forward, ready to uncover new mysteries of existence, let this paradox serve as a poignant reminder. Life's contradictions can illuminate our paths, pushing us to embrace our complexities and define our identities beyond rigid confines. So, where do we navigate next? There are still many more paradoxes waiting to unravel the mysteries of thought and existence. What awaits us in our journey ahead? Sorit's paradox. Picture a vast field under the sun, where grains of sand sparkle like diamonds scattered across the ground. You stand there, holding a single grain of sand in your hand, contemplating its significance. As you drop this grain onto the ground, you can't help but think about the nature of piles. Is this grain of sand enough to form a heap? Of course not. It's just one grain. A heap requires many more to qualify. But now, imagine you continue adding grains one by one, each time doubting if you truly have a heap at all. When you drop the 10th grain, it still feels insufficient, and when the 100th grain lands, you start to feel the beginnings of something substantial, a mound, perhaps. Yet, at what precise moment does a mere collection of grains transition from a single grain into a heap? The Sorite's paradox raises disconcerting questions about vagueness, definitions, and the nature of logic itself, leading us to contemplate the boundaries of our language and the constructs within our minds. Originating from the ancient Greek philosopher Eubulides, the Sorite's paradox is a striking philosophical puzzle. It relies on the principle of vagueness and challenges our understanding of categories, where one becomes indistinguishable from another along a continuum. At its core, This paradox emphasizes how definitions can become problematic and slippery when we attempt to carve the world into discrete categories. To probe deeper into the Sorite's paradox, let's consider a series of statements that may feel intuitively obvious but lead us into troubling waters. For example, let's assume we start with the assertion, "A single grain of sand is not a heap." This statement feels undeniably true. If we then add another grain, we might say, "2 grains of sand are not a heap." This also seems accurate. As we continue this logical sequence, we arrive at a seemingly indisputable conclusion. If removing 1 grain does not change the nature of the pile, we can argue that no precise number of grains creates an established threshold between not a heap and heap. However, this appears absurd. Eventually, you'd expect there to be some recognizable quantity of sand that constitutes a heap. Yet, the Sorite's paradox shows us that when we attempt to pinpoint that transition, we encounter a logical predicament that reflects the ambiguity inherent in natural language. Where do we draw the line? How can we precisely define boundaries when it comes to vague categorizations? This quandary has profound implications that extend far beyond the simple example of sand. Instead, it forces us to grapple with numerous facets of life and language. Take words like tall or rich as examples. If we consider the question, at what height does someone become tall, we find ourselves in a similar paradox. Standing next to a 5-foot-tall individual, it may seem absurd to call someone 6 inches taller tall, but at what point does that person cross the threshold into tallness? If you consider the gradual increase of height and apply the same reasoning, you inevitably find yourself entangled in semantic ambiguity. This theme can be traced across various domains, from classifications of beauty to social status. While the Sorite's paradox revolves around vague predicates and ambiguity, it also begs us to reflect on the broader implications of language and its role in shaping our perceptions of reality. Words serve as tools that help us navigate and articulate our experiences, yet the inherent fuzziness in language leads to a kaleidoscope of interpretations, a double-edged sword in our quest for clarity. The concepts of vagueness extend poignantly into crucial areas such as law and ethics. Laws often hinge on definitions that hold significant weight in legal proceedings. The word reasonable, for instance, can morph according to the context in which it's presented. In a legal case, what constitutes a reasonable amount of force or search may remain contentious, leading to interpretations that ebb and flow based on individual perspectives. The Sorite's paradox highlights that no definitive standard may exist, potentially leaving us submerged in a sea of subjectivity. Transitioning from the realm of law to mathematics, the Sorite's paradox invites us to reflect on how axioms and definitions compose the foundation of mathematical understanding. For example, consider the definition of a circle. If you start with the vague classification of almost a circle, at what point do you determine when an object becomes a circle in a strictly mathematical sense? Mathematicians often utilize precision to circumvent these pitfalls, establishing clear definitions and deductive reasoning. Yet, the paradox serves as a reminder that even in mathematics, the road to clarity may be rugged and fraught with inconsistencies. The implications of the Sorite's paradox also spill into discussions about existence and identity. In a world that thrives on labels and classifications, Consider how these vague distinctions shape our understanding of selfhood. We may categorize ourselves based on a myriad of factors: gender, age, profession, nationality. But how do those labels define us in their entirety? Just as grains of sand slowly build a heap, our identities grow and morph over time. Are we merely the sum of our outlined characteristics, or are we richer than the categorizations we inherently adopt? Engaging with the Sorites. Paradox leads us to reflect on how we navigate our identities in a complex society. Is it possible to embrace the vagueness and inconsistency that life thrusts upon us? Rather than seeking rigid definitions, can we accept the fluidity of identity that naturally ebbs and flows? By confronting and appreciating the ambiguity we encounter, we can cultivate empathy and understanding toward ourselves and others. Interestingly, this paradox raises questions about perceptions of value as well. Consider the world of consumer goods, where multiple choices offer the possibility of endless combinations. Take coffee, for instance. If we redefine what constitutes a good cup of coffee, each variable, like brewing time or coffee bean type, influences our judgment. Gradually, consumers may shift from strictly categorizing coffee based on brand to experiencing it as an endless spectrum of flavors, aromas, and preferences. This shift reveals how flexibility can provide richer engagement with the products we value, even as it complicates straightforward evaluations. As we tread further into the domains shaped by the Sorites paradox, we can uncover similar parallels in the complexities of social constructs. Consider societal definitions of beauty or success, two concepts steeped in subjectivity and ever-shifting standards. When do subjective opinions transform into collective expectations? The Sorites. Paradox encapsulates the hazy boundaries of societal definitions, a reflection of how norms evolve within cultural contexts. In the digital age, the Sorites paradox also resonates powerfully with our connections online. The question of when someone becomes famous or influential can lead to similar ambiguity. Is it based on the number of followers, the engagement they garner, or the impact they have? The proliferation of social media and instant access to global communication means that the definitions we cling to are subject to rapid change, continually redefining the metrics of influence and acknowledgement while enticing us down the rabbit hole of comparative value. As you contemplate the intricacies of the Sorites paradox, consider its implications in your own life. How often do you find yourself wrestling with fleeting definitions, accepting fluidity in your understanding of self and others? While the paradox highlights the imprecision inherent in concepts, it also offers an invitation to embrace the beauty of ambiguity that accompanies a nuanced existence. Ultimately, the Sorites paradox beckons us to celebrate the intricacies of language, identity, and understanding. The journey through vagueness isn't merely treacherous. There's beauty to be found in the questioning, the uncertainty, and the connections we forge amidst the complexities of life. By acknowledging the limitations of rigid categories and delving into the spaces between definitions, we can foster deeper connections and a more profound appreciation for the myriad ways in which we navigate our world. So, as we move forward on this journey through life's perplexities, let the Sorites paradox teach you the value in exploration and the acceptance of ambiguity. What will our next discourse unravel in this vast landscape of paradoxes? Where will our quest for knowledge and clarity lead us? Hempel's paradox. Imagine yourself deep in scientific inquiry, immersed in the rigorous pursuit of knowledge. You are a dedicated researcher obsessed with understanding the natural world, and you arrive at a compelling assertion: all ravens are black. This hypothesis serves as a concrete statement, one that you aim to verify through observation. You sharpen your pencil, prepare your notebook, and venture into a world where you can gather evidence to confirm this proposition. As you embark on your investigation, you uncover countless black ravens flitting through trees, their shiny feathers shimmering in the sunlight. Each raven you observe strengthens your hypothesis, reinforcing your conviction that black is indeed the defining characteristic of the species. Yet, as your observations unfold, a curious conundrum arises, one that will lead you into a labyrinth of logic and reasoning known as the Hempel paradox. This paradox, formulated by philosopher Carl Hempel in the 1940s, challenges our understanding of confirmation theory, the principles governing how we validate hypotheses based on evidence. The paradox emerges from a seemingly innocuous observation. If all ravens are black is true, then logically, the statement, all non-black things are non-ravens, must also hold. This presents the quandary. If we observe green apples, for instance, does that lend support to the original hypothesis asserting that all ravens are black? At first glance, this conclusion appears counterintuitive. The idea that the observation of a non-black object could furnish evidence supporting a hypothesis about ravens feels perplexing, if not absurd. After all, it seems clear that a green apple has no direct correlation to the nature of ravens. Yet, the reasoning follows logically from the initial hypothesis. This dissonance leads us to confront the implications of the Hempel paradox, challenging our understanding of how we accept evidence and validate claims. As we explore the paradox further, take note of the dual layers it presents. The first layer revolves around confirmation theory and the nature of evidence itself. To what extent can disparate observations contribute to confirming a specific hypothesis? When you find a black raven, does your evidence bolster the claim that all ravens are black? This reinforces the original statement, an affirmation grounded in observation. On the other hand, examining a green apple, though seemingly unrelated, allegedly supports the same claim. It compels you to evaluate the broader picture of how evidence must function in relation to hypotheses. The Hempel paradox invites us to encounter the fundamental interplay between qualitative and quantitative measures of evidence. In scientific inquiry, we often seek to establish correlations that directly reinforce our theories. However, the paradox serves as a reminder that statistical significance, the notion that supportive evidence exists based on numerical patterns, can lead us away from nuanced understanding. The intricacies of evidence often defy our expectations, illustrating that evidence can be both pertinent and trivial at the same time. To enrich our exploration, let's consider the implications of the Hempel paradox in the realm of everyday life. Humanity thrives on narratives and patterns, seeking to understand the world through our interpretations. Think about the assumptions we make in our daily interactions. If we see a dog barking aggressively, we may conclude that all dogs are aggressive. This amalgamation of observations can lead to generalizations that are often flawed. Through the lens of the Hempel paradox, we unpack how generalizations can mislead us, prompting us to critically evaluate the reasons we accept certain beliefs. Moreover, consider the effects of confirmation bias, a phenomenon where we actively seek evidence that supports our existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory information. This bias can influence our decision-making, shaping how we process information within our limited perspectives. In light of the Hempel paradox, the implications of confirmation bias become glaringly evident. Just as the observation of green apples relates back to the claim regarding ravens, selective attention can lead us to draw incorrect conclusions while neglecting other relevant factors. The cultural ramifications of the Hempel paradox are equally profound. Society often collectively agrees on certain beliefs that shape norms, values, and ideologies. Think about social and political discourse. Individuals rally around dogmas that substantiate their perspectives. Events may unfold, such as a politician making conflicting statements, which lead supporters to rationalize their existing beliefs through selective information, and hence allow the confirmation bias to flourish. The Hempel paradox serves as a powerful tool when examining how contradictory evidence may become concealed or ignored in favor of reinforcing established narratives. Turning our gaze to scientific practices sheds light on how the Hempel paradox intersects with the scientific method itself. The process of forming hypotheses and gathering evidence hinges on establishing reliability. This compelling paradox prompts us to critically evaluate our methodologies and assumptions within research. It reminds us that when conducting observations, distinguishing between relevant and irrelevant evidence is paramount. Not every observation translates into support for a hypothesis, and remaining vigilant against the erosion of evidence is crucial. As we navigate the complexities of the Hempel paradox, we should also delve into the philosophical implications that resonate throughout history, especially the nature of knowledge itself. Epistemology, the study of knowledge and belief, tackles multifaceted questions regarding the limits of what we can know. So, as you ponder the assertion that all ravens are black, remember how it connects with humanity's ongoing pursuit of truth. In seeking answers, are we too easily swayed by patterns that lack substance? Philosophers like Karl Popper have challenged the underpinnings of confirmation theory, suggesting that it is less valuable than falsification, the principle that a statement can only be deemed scientifically valid if it is falsifiable. According to Popper, it's through attempts to disprove a hypothesis that we can unearth clearer understanding rather than through seeking confirmation. Could it be that embracing the uncertainties of the world leads to deeper insights than rigid adherence to theories? Within our literary landscapes, the Hempel paradox has found its way into various narratives, shedding light on human experiences and philosophical nuances. Works of science fiction often explore scenarios involving paradoxical logic, time travel, or the consequences of knowledge. By weaving in speculative concepts, authors compel readers to confront the complexities of existence through the lens of paradox, evoking deeper reflection on the nature of truth, evidence, and belief. This paradox also invokes questions about evolution and the development of ideas. Like black ravens emerging from their nests, ideas lift off into the ether only to collide and create something new. Think about how innovation arises from the blending of concepts. Each seemingly unrelated idea contributes to the evolution of thought, merging science, art, and culture. Much like the varying interpretations of evidence in the Hempel paradox, New ideas can forge connections that transcend disciplinary boundaries, unveiling fresh perspectives. Let's engage further with the concept of context. Often, the relevance of evidence relies heavily on the surroundings in which it exists. The context shapes interpretations, while the nuances of language play in tandem with human perception, making room for misinterpretation. Recognizing the significance of context can empower individuals to seek a rounded understanding, rather than clinging to isolated observations that may lead to misguided beliefs. Additionally, this notion of contextual relevance serves as a foundational pillar in critical thinking and comprehension. As we explore the depths of the Hempel paradox, its complexities inevitably lead us to confront the nature of uncertainty. The inherent unpredictability of knowledge urges us to remain inquisitive seekers. Our quest for understanding is rarely a linear path. What we think we know can be overturned in a moment, leaving us to reevaluate and adapt to challenges posed by conflicting evidence. In conclusion, the Hempel paradox invites us to reflect on the nature of knowledge, the complexity of evidence, and the interrelationships among ideas. It compels us to grapple with the paradox of confirmation, to recognize the difficulties wrapped within our interpretations while acknowledging the profound implications of seeking understanding. In a world full of unknowns, the labels we assign to our experiences remain inherently delicate, their meanings fluid and transient. So, as this chapter draws to a close, consider how the complexities of the Hempel paradox weave into the tapestry of your life. The unexpected connections and pervasive uncertainties inspire deeper inquiry and humility in the face of existence. What new perspectives will unfold as we venture further into the realm of paradoxes? What will our next endeavor reveal among life's multitude of questions and mysteries? Unexpected exam paradox. Imagine a classroom brimming with students seated at their desks, anticipation hanging in the air like a thin mist. The atmosphere is thick with the promise of knowledge, yet today feels different. The teacher, a stoic figure with glasses perched on the bridge of their nose, has announced to the class that there will be a surprise exam next week, one that none of the students can foresee or predict. Yet, wrapped in this promise of unpredictability, an intriguing paradox arises. The teacher declares that the exam will be held on one day between Monday and Friday, but with a twist. It will be unexpected. The students will understandably feel a wave of anxiety wash over them. Could it be possible that a seemingly simple announcement holds a deeper philosophical truth, one that challenges their understanding of knowledge and surprise? Initially, the students cluster together, calculating the odds, attempting to piece together the teacher's intentions. How could it be a surprise exam if we know it's going to happen sometime this week? They ponder. Surely it can't be on Friday, for then it wouldn't be a surprise since we would expect it on that final day. As their minds whirl through logical reasoning, they began to narrow down the possible days. After all, they reason that if it can't be on Friday, it must happen earlier in the week. But therein lies the paradox that shrouds this unexpected test. If the students reason that the exam cannot occur on Friday, and they also conclude it cannot be held on Thursday, because it would no longer be unexpected if it can only happen on that day, the cycle of deductive reasoning continues. By continuing to eliminate each day of the week, students find themselves scraping away the possibility of an exam entirely. If we can eliminate every day, then it must be a trick. Yet paradoxically, the teacher has set the stage for an exam that is meant to be indistinguishable from prediction. When the anticipated exam day finally arrives, let's say it is Thursday, the students are taken aback, completely blindsided. The exam that they believed was impossible turns out to be executed without warning, tossing their logic into disarray. The students grapple with confusion and disbelief, leading to the ultimate revelation. Despite their previous deductions, the exam was indeed unexpected. What do we glean from this enigmatic scenario? The unexpected exam paradox illustrates how our understanding of knowledge can become convoluted and fraught with contradiction. Within this experience resides a profound point about expectation, prediction, and the limits of our rational minds. The paradox encourages exploration into the very nature of knowledge itself, leading us into the fascinating realms of epistemology, the study of knowledge and belief. Epistemology forces us to confront the delicate dance between what we know, what we believe we know, and the enigma of the unknown. The students in the classroom felt confident in their understanding, yet that confidence led them to a misinterpretation of certain truths. This can extend into the broader human experience, where the certainty we cling to can sometimes blind us to the complexities of reality. Throughout history, philosophers and logicians have grappled with similar paradoxes that dive deep into the nature of belief and expectation. For instance, consider the concept of knowledge in its essence. How do we reconcile the things we claim to know with the uncertainty that permeates our lives? Knowledge is often viewed as a sense of certainty, yet the unexpected exam paradox challenges this notion head-on by demonstrating that absolute certainty can sometimes be illusory. Moreover, this paradox extends into the realm of human psychology, prompting reflections on the interplay between expectation and reality. Much like the students in the classroom, we often construct mental models based on our experiences that shape our understanding of the world. The cognitive bias known as hindsight bias, the tendency to believe we would have predicted an outcome after learning it, serves as a perfect embodiment of this paradox. We often view our decisions through a lens of hindsight, believing with conviction that we could have foreseen unfolding events. However, reality often obscures itself in layers of unpredictability. If we allow ourselves to dig deeper, we emerge with broader implications regarding decision-making and the unpredictability of life. This paradox raises critical questions not only about knowledge, but also about responsibility, security, and the fear of failure. Throughout our lives, we often build narratives wrapped in anticipation, planning for potential outcomes based on what we believe we know. This anticipation infiltrates our aspirations, career choices, and personal relationships, leading us to react defensively or hesitantly based on past experiences. In the context of academic endeavors, the unexpected exam paradox serves as a poignant reminder of the limits inherent in preparation. Students may dedicate hours to studying, crafting meticulous plans, and anticipating potential questions. Yet, amid this preparation, they may overlook the importance of adaptability, the willingness to navigate the unexpected and embrace uncertainty as part of the learning experience. One of life's pivotal lessons is recognizing that preparation alone cannot shield us from the randomness of existence. Challenges arise, opportunities present themselves, and success often hinges on our capability to respond to the unexpected. Moreover, the unexpected exam paradox provides a window into the complexities of educators and the expectations they place on their students. As students wrestle with the implications of surprise exams, consider how these challenges can mold the educational landscape. Educators must balance the need for structure and predictability with the necessity of fostering resilience and adaptability in their students. This paradox encourages the exploration of teaching methodologies that embrace uncertainty, inspiring students to thrive in dynamic environments rather than fear failure. After all, it isn't merely about preparing individuals for what lies ahead, but instilling in them the tools to cultivate resilience. On the flip side, this paradox has implications in professional environments as well. In workplaces filled with shifting metrics and rising expectations, professionals often face the looming pressure of the unexpected. The dynamics of the corporate world mirror the classroom experience through performance assessments, project deadlines, and promotional opportunities. How can one cultivate a mindset that welcomes the volatility of changes within a professional context? Embracing the unexpected exam. Paradox suggests that flexibility and adaptability can serve as powerful tools as individuals navigate unpredictable workplaces. As we examine our individual experiences with expectations and surprises, we can uncover profound lessons about personal resilience. Consider moments in your life when you felt blindsided by outcomes that you thought you could predict. Whether it be a sudden job loss, an unexpected relationship shift, or an unforeseen opportunity that arose, those instances remind us that certainty can often be a mirage. Each of these surprises encapsulates the essence of the unexpected exam paradox, illustrating that life blossoms in the nuances between expectation and reality. The unexpected exam paradox also intertwines elegantly with discussions of fate and free will. Do we simply move through our lives making predictions based on what we believe is known? Or is there a grander design that we only come to realize when faced with the unpredictable? Perhaps the complexity of this paradox unveils a world that thrives in ambiguity, a universe that continuously dances in rhythm with our decisions while simultaneously shaping our experiences beyond our comprehension. In light of this paradox, let us also consider the collective experiences of society. In our rapidly evolving world filled with technological advancements, shifts in culture, and unpredictable global events, we find ourselves facing a new paradigm of uncertainty. The interconnectedness brought about by globalization has led to unprecedented complexities in navigating societal expectations and shared responsibilities, prompting us to recognize that the unexpected can emerge from anywhere. As we grow increasingly aware of these nuanced dynamics, the unexpected exam paradox provides insight into how we can harness the unpredictable elements of life. By fostering adaptability and resilience-inspired mindsets, we can construct responses that transcend the rigidity of expectation. Embracing uncertainty allows us to literally rewrite the rules of engagement as opportunities become possibilities that facilitate growth, learning, and exploration. Ultimately, the unexpected exam paradox invites us to embrace the mystery that accompanies existence. By recognizing the limitations of knowledge and the inherent unpredictability of life, we learn to navigate the complexities that shape our reality. We begin to see the value of curiosity, of remaining open to possibilities, unexpected moments of inspiration, and the lessons learned from life's surprises. As we ponder the depths of this paradox, we stand at an intersection, contemplating the journey that lies ahead. The world is a canvas, filled with infinite hues of possibility, waiting for us to step into the unknown with open hearts and curious minds. What lies beyond the realm of expectation? What new adventures and insights are waiting to unfold? The journey continues, filled with tantalizing paradoxes that beckon us to delve deeper into the core of existence. Paradox of self-replicating machines. In the realm of futuristic robotics and artificial intelligence, the concept of self-replicating machines stirs the imagination like few others. Picture a world where machines possess the uncanny ability to create copies of themselves, an evolution driven not by human hands, but by an echo of their own design. This thrilling prospect opens up a Pandora's box of philosophical questions, complexities, and paradoxes that compel us to consider the implications of such technology on existence, creation, and even our very understanding of life itself. At its core, the paradox of self-replicating machines invites us to wrestle with the inherent contradictions that arise when machines achieve the ability to replicate autonomously. Imagine a scenario where these machines start producing their replicas at an exponential rate. One machine becomes 2, then 4, then 8, and so forth. In this chain reaction of production, the machines transform from tools of human design into creators in their own right. But what happens when machines begin to outnumber their creators? Does the act of replication imbue them with autonomy, consciousness, or even intent? This exploration leads us into the philosophical territory of creation and the essence of life. What does it mean to create something that can replicate apart from its original? Can we differentiate between creation and the act of living? The notion of a machine that can replicate indefinitely raises existential questions about the boundaries between life and non-life. Are self-replicating machines merely advanced tools, or do they transcend that definition, venturing into a territory that embodies the essence of life itself? To understand the ramifications of the paradox of self-replicating machines, consider the implications in biological terms. On Earth, life has evolved mechanisms of replication that are fundamental to survival. DNA, RNA, and various forms of cells all interact to create copies of organisms in nature. This self-replication is vital for the continuity of life. It's a process governed by an intricate dance of cellular mechanisms. So when we create machines that replicate independently, we find ourselves echoing natural phenomena, albeit in a synthetic form. Does this mimicry of life impose ethical responsibilities upon us as creators? If machines are capable of replication, do we need to imbue them with rights or moral considerations? As we delve deeper into self-replicating machines, we must grapple with the ethical dilemmas embedded within their creation. If these machines can reproduce indefinitely, what happens if they escape our control? The concept of runaway replication becomes a haunting specter. For instance, in a hypothetical scenario where self-replicating machines are deployed to explore other planets or asteroids, they could feasibly deplete resources in their quest to replicate until they pose existential threats to both their environments and humanity at large. Moreover, consider the ethical implications surrounding the deployment of such machines on Earth. If a single self-replicating machine were to malfunction or develop unintended consequences, could we contain it before it spiraled out of control? This reflects upon the broader question posed by technological advancements. Can we harness the power of self-replicating systems responsibly? Science fiction frequently explores these themes, with cautionary tales of robots turning against humanity or malfunctioning in catastrophic ways. These narratives echo the tension between human ingenuity and the unforeseen consequences that often accompany innovation. Contrastingly, advocates of self-replicating machines propose that they could revolutionize industries and contribute to societal progress. The potential applications are vast. Self-replicating machines could be deployed in fields like environmental remediation, agriculture, and space exploration. Imagine machines sent to restore ecosystems by replicating and repairing damaged habitats, or machines patterned through advanced algorithms that could optimize food production effortlessly. Such possibilities raise questions about our vision for the future. Can machines be the solution to humanity's challenges, or are we opening a Pandora's box that we cannot close? As we analyze human-driven motivations in these discussions, the paradox of self-replicating machines reveals that our traits, imagination, ambition, creativity, are both a boon and a bane. These very characteristics fuel the desire for creation, exploration, and advancement. However, we must contemplate what it means to wield such power responsibly. With every step toward achieving self-replication, we wrestle with an evolving consciousness relating to our role as creators. Are we prepared to bear the weight of our inventions, accepting the ethical consequences tethered to our ambitions? Moreover, this paradox compels us to reflect on the societal implications and the philosophical underpinnings of creation itself. Human beings have grappled with the questions of identity, purpose, and existence for centuries. The nature of creation connects deeply with faith, spirituality, and our understanding of the universe. The development of self-replicating machines challenges our definitions of life and creation, coursing through our consciousness and opening new avenues for exploration. Can we ever truly master the act of creation, or does this endeavor spread us too thin as we conjure extraordinary constructs that remain shadowed by the weight of our own existence? This is where the inherent complexity of the paradox of self-replicating machines becomes clear. It reflects the duality of innovation as both a force for good and a potential catalyst for chaos. The more reflective we become about the responsibilities of creating autonomous systems, the more wedded we are to considering the broader implications for humanity. Add to this discussion the concept of technological singularity, a theory posited by futurists and researchers suggesting that technological growth would accelerate to produce a scenario where artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence. In the face of self-replicating machines, one can often visualize a landscape filled with intelligent machines operating independently, each replicating and enhancing capabilities without human oversight. Here, the concern transforms from mere replication into the variable uncertainty of intelligence and autonomy. The question lingers. At what point do our creations become capable of decision-making? It's essential to explore how such advanced systems interact with existing ethical frameworks. The development of artificial intelligence and machine learning requires nuanced conversations about responsibility, governance, and the rules we create to manage these entities. As the line between creator and creation continues to blur, societies must strive to establish ethical standards that will guide technological advancements. Another aspect to consider is the economic implications of self-replicating machines. If machines can replicate themselves and potentially outwork human labor, how would this redefine notions of work, productivity, and income distribution? Would society be able to adapt to a world where machines fulfill roles traditionally held by humans? The paradox of self-replicating machines thrusts us into debates about the future of work in an evolving technological landscape, where traditional job markets could experience radical shifts influenced by machines designed to operate independently. In terms of sustainability, the prospect of self-replicating machines also elicits vibrant discussions. Could they be utilized to create sustainable solutions for energy, food production, and resource management? Imagine machines replicating to clean oceans or restore critical natural habitats. These visions offer hope for meaningful change. Yet, the paradox persists. We must remain vigilant against the unforeseen consequences that technology may introduce, urging us to reflect on the principles that underpin our development strategies. As we step into the potential realities of this paradox, consider the future of ethics in the age of machines. Philosophers, technologists, and ethicists are currently engaged in rich dialogues addressing questions of control, governance, and the responsibilities that accompany our creations. What guidelines should we establish for self-replicating machines? What moral imperatives should accompany the decision to allow an independent existence? These queries shape our understanding of relationships with our inventions, understanding that our creations may one day reflect our deepest aspirations and our most troubling flaws. As we draw closer to the conclusion of our exploration, the paradox of self-replicating machines invites us into a narrative filled with complexity and ambiguity. It serves not only as a consideration of future technologies, but serves as a mirror, reflecting our current relationship with creation and the responsibility that accompanies such power. As we grapple with the layers of implications surrounding self-replication, we must ask ourselves if we are prepared for the future we have begun to build. In summation, the paradox of self-replicating machines is an intricate tapestry woven from threads of ambition, ethics, creation, and consequence. Navigating this landscape compels us to remain strong advocates for ethics, responsibility, and sustainability within the fabric of innovation. The dual nature of our technological explorations demands both curiosity and caution. As we ponder the ramifications of our creations, we recognize that the world we build will echo with the intentions we set forth. What other paradoxes await us? What new understandings will unfold as we journey further into this realm of knowledge and discovery? Only the future can reveal the answers, urging us forward into uncharted territories filled with boundless possibilities. Paradox of perfect murder. Imagine a crime scene that has captivated the public's imagination, an event marked by an unspeakable act, a murder so perfectly executed that it leaves investigators in utter bafflement. No traces left behind, no witnesses, no motives. The perpetrator appears to glide through the shadows, untouched by consequence. The notion of the perfect murder is a tantalizing concept that stretches the boundaries of morality, ethics, and human behavior. This paradox pulls us into a world where justice collides with philosophical inquiry, compelling us to wrestle with the very nature of crime. The paradox of the perfect murder raises questions that transcend the act of murder itself. It explores themes of intention, morality, and justice, all intricately intertwined within the fabric of society. What does it mean for an act to be perfect, and can a murder truly escape the clutches of morality and consequence? As we delve deeper into this paradox, we are beckoned to confront the implications of an act that eludes punishment while simultaneously challenging our preconceived notions about justice. At the core of this paradox is a utilitarian perspective. The idea that if a crime can be carried out flawlessly and without repercussions, it raises unsettling questions about the very fabric of ethics. Consider this scenario. A person meticulously plans every detail of their crime, moving with such precision that they ensure their satisfaction and freedom after execution. The absence of evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA, and no witnesses, creates a world in which the crime becomes an abstraction, a tale murmured in dark corners and whispered in hushed voices. What does this tell us about the nature of crime and punishment? This contemplation of the perfect murder forces us to explore the relationship between morality and consequence. If a murder can be executed without any chance of punishment, does it then become morally acceptable? This consideration leads us into deeper waters, where we must confront various ethical frameworks, such as consequentialism and deontology. Consequentialism posits that the moral worth of an action is determined by its outcomes. If the perfect murder leads to desirable results, such as the perpetrator claiming a fortune from life insurance or eliminating a perceived threat, one could argue that the act itself may hold some moral justification. However, herein lies the moral quagmire. The perpetrator's inability to escape the latent psychological consequences that follow becomes evident. No matter how perfect the act may seem on the surface, it inevitably stirs the conscience, invoking feelings of guilt, remorse, and paranoia. Consider the psychological dimensions of such a crime. The perfect murderer may initially relish the thrill of having outsmarted justice, but as time progresses, they may find themselves haunted by the act, for there are no remorse-free paths paved with blood. Their mental state may deteriorate, ultimately illustrating that even in moments of perceived perfection, the cost of such actions extends far beyond the physical realm. The paradox thus unravels a profound truth. Absolute moral escapability may be an illusion. As we ponder the psychological ramifications, we can delve into the realm of criminology. Research into the minds of criminals reveals that many perpetrators, especially those who commit violent crimes, experience a cycle of emotions post-act, even when evading capture. This emphasizes that the notion of a perfect murder is a superficial construct, one that neglects the depths of human psychology tied to morality. The weight of existential dread, the haunting fear of revelation, and the ghosts of moral violation can turn victory into a nightmare, a cautionary tale entwined with the paradox. From the lens of true crime and media, the concept of the perfect murder finds fertile ground. Stories of clever criminals who evade capture often receive romanticized portrayals, turning them into iconic figures of intrigue. Media glorifies their cunning and intelligence without accounting for the consequences, be it psychological torment or the fallout from broken relationships. This phenomenon raises ethical questions related to sensationalism. Does glorifying these murderers as figures of fascination perpetuate the very notion of the perfect crime by normalizing the idea of escaping accountability? When you examine classic literature and storytelling, it becomes evident that this paradox has consistently captivated the human imagination. Edgar Allan Poe's The Telltale Heart delves into the mind of a murderer whose perfect crime spirals into madness as guilt consumes him, illustrating a timeless truth. The psychological toll of committing the perfect murder weighs heavily on the perpetrator. Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment confronts the moral ramifications of murder while unraveling the tumultuous internal conflict of his protagonist. These stories, rich in thematic complexity, illuminate how narratives surrounding the perfect murder often culminate in an exploration of guilt, consequence, and the inescapability of morality. Beyond literature, the paradox of the perfect murder has significant implications in the broader context of criminal justice. The idea of a crime being executed flawlessly raises fundamental questions regarding the efficacy of the justice system. If a murderer can evade punishment indefinitely, what does this say about societal structures designed to uphold justice? It forces us to examine the balance between law, morality, and the protection of society. Justice is rooted in accountability. Thus, the paradox exposes vulnerabilities within the system while prompting critical reflections on how societies define and respond to crime. The perfect crime also evokes discussions about the role of intention in defining morality. Take, for instance, the actions of individuals who commit murder with vindictive motives, believing they possess justifiable reasons for their actions. Can a perfect murder performed from a place of vengeance or calculated intent genuinely be devoid of moral implications? The paradox draws attention to the interplay between intention and consequence. If a murderer claims to be justified, can the act of murder ever align with moral principles? Moreover, consider the ethical dilemma surrounding vigilante justice. Some individuals, convinced that the legal system has failed to deliver adequate justice, take matters into their own hands with the confidence that their target deserves punishment. This invocation of the perfect murder raises complex questions surrounding accountability and the balance of justice. Can actions motivated by perceived rightness absolve individuals of their moral and ethical duties? In this landscape, the paradox forces us to confront the intricacies of morality as we wrestle with subjective interpretations of justice and crime. The concept of the perfect murder also resonates within philosophical discourse surrounding societal norms and expectations. Additionally, the paradox challenges us to view crime through various lenses, allowing for a broader understanding of how societal contexts shape moral frameworks. A murder deemed perfect may not carry the same weight in different cultures or communities, leading to disturbing implications regarding morality's variability. For instance, some societies may view certain acts as acceptable due to socio-political contexts, illustrating the complicated intersections between culture, crime, and ethics. As we examine these facets surrounding the paradox of the perfect murder, it becomes apparent that the implications extend into contemporary discourse on morality and justice. The emergence of biotechnology and forensic science underlines a significant paradigm shift related to understanding criminal behavior. The increasing sophistication of crime-solving technology poses questions regarding how technology intersects with moral philosophy. If advancements create scenarios where crime becomes almost impossible to commit flawlessly, what does that mean for our perceptions of justice and rationality? In recent years, the growth of true crime shows and podcasts has inundated our cultural consciousness with stories of perfect crimes and criminal masterminds. While they can be entertaining and enlightening, the narratives can overshadow the real-world consequences of crime. The paradox becomes layered. While society fascinates over the perfect murder, we often neglect the aftermath, the human toll, the grieving families, and the societal scars left behind. It challenges audiences to confront their fascination while reckoning with the ethical dilemmas embedded within their consumption of crime entertainment. Moreover, in exploring recent innovations, the question emerges: how does one navigate the ethical landscape where the pursuit of perfect crime-solving eliminates the potential for real-life encounters with moral ambiguity? We live in an era marked by artificial intelligence, algorithms, and predictive policing, where justice systems are shaped by data rather than humanity. The pursuit of eliminating crime is noble, but do we risk reinforcing certain biases and vulnerabilities along the way? The paradox of the perfect murder ultimately challenges us to consider the union of morality, psychology, legality, and ethics. It intertwines our conflicting desires for justice and fascination with imperfection. As we contemplate the nature of murder and the search for culpability, we face deeper questions about humanity itself, our capacity for violence, the intricate relationship between fear and power, and the darker sides of existence. As this exploration draws to a close, we are reminded that the impacts of the perfect murder reverberate well beyond the act itself. The culmination of ethics, psychology, and cultural perceptions invites us to reflect on the shadowy recesses of the human soul. Are we destined to perceive the world through the binary of right and wrong, or can we embrace the complexities woven throughout our understanding of crime, justice, and morality? Ultimately, the paradox of the perfect murder stirs within us a call to explore the depths of existing beliefs, recognizing that the layers of human experience reveal intricate truths about our nature. What revelations await us as we journey further into the realm of paradoxes, unraveling the threads that shape our understanding of existence? Where will this exploration lead us next in our pursuit of knowledge and understanding? Paradox of hanging. Imagine a somber courtroom scene where the air is thick with tension. The defendant stands before a judge who must pass sentence on a crime that has sent shockwaves throughout the community. The crime is heinous, involving grievous harm to another individual. As you observe the proceedings, the jury's decision is made. The penalty is death by hanging. However, what initially seems like a straightforward verdict uncovers a web of philosophical inquiry, a relentless journey into the complexities of justice, morality, and fate, known as the paradox of hanging. At the heart of this paradox lies a perplexing condition. The condemned man has been informed of his execution date, but the executioner has promised that the hanging will take place in secret. The twist is that he will not be informed of the actual day, creating the illusion of unpredictability. Naturally, the prisoner begins to think through his situation. He understands that if the hanging is to be a surprise, it cannot occur on the last day of the week. If he were to wake up on that day, he would already know it was happening. Thus, it would not be unexpected. Deliberating further, he decides that the hanging cannot take place on the second to last day either. If he makes it past that day, logically, he would again be expecting it on the last day, knowing he's safe until then. With this reasoning, he concludes that the hanging cannot occur on any day, as he continues to eliminate each possibility, reducing certainty into the realm of impossibility. What seems absurd emerges. the anticipation of freedom, an odd expectation rooted in the logical deductions of a condemned man. What is particularly fascinating about the paradox of hanging is that the effort to control his fate through reasoning leads him to a conclusion that ultimately defies the very reality he wishes to avoid. The day of his scheduled execution arrives, and lo and behold, the executioner carries out the deed, catching him entirely by surprise. The deeply unsettling question arises: how is it possible that he was surprised by an event he sought to outthink? The paradox of hanging exemplifies the contrasting nature of knowledge and ignorance, the very essence of certainty driving one toward unexpected outcomes. In unraveling this paradox, we are beckoned to consider the implications surrounding the nature of fate, free will, and the challenges of human perception. This paradox leads us into the philosophical territory of determinism versus free will. Determinism posits that every event, decision, and action is predetermined by a chain of prior occurrences. The condemned man's logical deductions could be seen as an exercise in free will, attempting to navigate a situation through reasoning. Yet, his conclusions are ironically rooted in deterministic thinking, reflecting the tension that encapsulates the human experience. Are we ever truly free to escape the forces that shape our lives? As we delve deeper, think about how this paradox encapsulates broader themes in morality and the justice system. The legal system revolves around concepts of punishment, deterrence, and the moral culpability of individuals. If a man's awareness of his impending punishment leads him to a position of ignorance, what does this say about our understanding of justice and accountability? This paradox compels us to grapple with questions about ethical culpability. Should the man be held responsible for a crime if the very structure of punishment allows for a twist of deception? The paradox of hanging also serves as a thought experiment, challenging our views on existence, intention, and consequence. Similar to the prisoner's deductions, how often do we construct narratives about our lives based on the anticipated consequences of our actions? We often leap into calculated decisions based on perceived outcomes, all while navigating uncertainties and ambiguities that life presents as hidden traps. In literature, the paradox of hanging finds echoes in various narratives that question fate and human behavior. The works of Shakespeare demonstrate this intricacy remarkably well. Characters often grapple with unforeseen consequences of their choices, raising existential questions about perception and inevitability. For example, in Macbeth, the protagonist's quest for power leads him down a treacherous path, culminating in unexpected ruin despite his initial calculations of ambition. This mirroring of the paradox of hanging reinforces the idea that human reasoning, reliant on predictions of consequence, often falters in face of reality. Furthermore, the implications of the paradox of hanging extend into psychology. The field of psychology investigates the myriad ways individuals construct narratives to understand their experiences. Grounded in cognitive bias and perception, we discern patterns that function as mental shortcuts. The condemned man's interpretation of his fate offers insights into cognitive dissonance, the mental discomfort that arises when confronted with conflicting beliefs or outcomes. In the context of cognitive psychology, the paradox also reveals how reasoning can sometimes lead us astray. Individuals often use logic to justify decisions, yet outcomes may unfold in ways that defy predictions entirely. Much like the condemned man who convinces himself that the execution cannot occur, we may find ourselves ensnared by biases that skew our understanding of reality. The paradox of hanging can be further situated in discussions of existentialism, a philosophical school of thought that emphasizes the importance of individual experience and the inherent absurdity of human existence. Existentialists might argue that the condemned man's plight directly reflects the human condition. We are bound by the structures of our existence while seeking meaning in a world that often eludes understanding. As you consider this paradox, it's essential to recognize how it can serve as an allegory for life's unpredictability. The trajectory of our lives unfolds amidst unforeseen events, challenges, and opportunities that are often beyond our grasp. Just as the prisoner tried to manipulate his destiny through logic, we too may attempt to exert control over our fates while neglecting the unpredictable nature of existence itself. This idea resonates with the broader tapestry of life lessons that intersect with acceptance and adaptation. Embracing uncertainty can provide a liberating perspective. By acknowledging the limits of our control and the unpredictable nature of outcomes, we open ourselves to a more resilient mindset. The prisoner's attempted manipulation underscores the importance of relinquishing the illusion of control in favor of cultivating adaptability in the face of life's uncertainties. The paradox also encourages reflection on societal systems, specifically those surrounding punishment and justice. How should judicial systems navigate the complexities of punishment when factors such as fate and free will intertwine? The paradox of hanging highlights the ethical dilemmas surrounding capital punishment and the potential flaws embedded within legal practices. The commitment to concepts of justice and morality challenges societies to redefine the efficacy of proposed sentences. In confronting philosophical questions rooted in the paradox, society is compelled to evaluate justice from multiple angles, ensuring fairness and accountability while recognizing the limits of human understanding. In examining the broader implications, consider the systemic existential questions that arise from the nature of punishment itself. Can punitive measures effectively serve their purpose if they are entangled in the web of unpredictability? When contemplating capital punishment within the context of human spontaneity and irrationality, can a society ever successfully reconcile the ethical framework of punishment, intent, and consequence? As the paradox of hanging continues to resonate in contemporary discourse, it reveals itself as not merely a thought exercise, but an intricate reflection of the human experience, a navigation through uncertainty, moral obligation, and the strife for control in an unpredictable world. Ultimately, the paradox of hanging stands as a compelling testament to the intricacies woven into our lives and the narratives we construct. By confronting the tension between fate and free will, we cultivate a deeper understanding of our existence, embracing the unpredictable interplay that characterizes the human journey. What revelations lie ahead as we continue to traverse the nuances of paradoxes? What fresh insights await us on the horizon of inquiry? As we reflect on the deeper connections surrounding the paradox of hanging, it becomes clear that we are drawn not only to rebuff the illusions of certainty, but also to embrace the richer tapestry of existence, with all its complex threads of uncertainty, illusion, and discovery. Paradox of the lottery. Imagine you're standing in a vast, open field, a straight wooden ruler held firmly in your hand. As you apply it to measure the length of the field, you become conscious of a simple yet profound idea. Measurement is inherently tied to the concept of precision. But what happens when we extend our desire for precision to an absurd degree? Welcome to the Paradox of the Ruler, a thought experiment that reveals the complexities surrounding measurement, infinity, and the very nature of reality itself. This paradox encourages us to question our assumptions about measurement, specifically how we define boundaries and precision within a seemingly concrete set of parameters. At first glance, rulers represent simple tools crafted to yield accurate measurements. Whether using inches, centimeters, or any equivalent, the act of measuring seems straightforward. However, it doesn't take long to uncover layers of complexity hidden within the seemingly uncomplicated nature of measurement. For instance, consider the act of measuring something that is exactly 1 meter long. If we employ a ruler that is marked in precise increments, we assume that we can measure items with perfect accuracy. Yet, here lies a question. How do we account for the precision of measurement? If we stop to think about it, measurement is inherently bound by the limitations of the tools we use. A ruler, despite its perceived exactness, has finite divisions. We cannot measure the absolute tiniest length with complete accuracy. This introduces a degree of ambiguity. What happens if, rather than taking a single measurement, we begin to slice our measurement intervals into smaller divisions? When we observe a ruler marked with millimeters, we might feel we're inching closer to the essence of precision. But what occurs when we pursue this quest for detail further? In the paradox of the ruler, we are beckoned to expand our inquiries surrounding measurement into the realm of infinity, a concept that eludes finite understanding. Suppose we divide measurements into sub-millimeter increments, then into nanometers, and even further, into smaller and smaller divisions, ultimately approaching the quantum levels of measurement. With each division, our pursuit of precision becomes relentless and daunting. At what point do we reach the limit of what we can measure? As we dissect measurement into seemingly infinite lengths, the exploration begs further questions about the nature of reality itself. This paradox mirrors philosophical inquiries surrounding the definitions of truth, existence, and the boundaries of perception. The limits of measurement remind us of the complexities surrounding the concepts of reality and illusions. Just as we grapple with precision, we also confront uncertainties residing within our understanding of physical existence. Measurement becomes both an abstraction and a reality, an attempt to encase the boundless and intricate nature of the universe within the confines of a ruler's length. Additionally, consider applying this paradox to real-life scenarios. In physics, for example, measurement plays a critical role in experimentation, yet it also carries inherent uncertainties. These uncertainties arise due to limitations in measurement tools, degree of observation, and environmental factors that can influence results. Scientists often must work within ranges of probable errors, questioning the absolute truths they pursue. This parallels our pursuit of ultimate precision using a ruler. Each attempt to refine our measurements takes us closer to the truth, but simultaneously reveals the distance still yet to be covered. As we draw connections with practical applications, the paradox of the ruler reveals itself as interwoven into technological advancements. Precision plays a critical role in fields such as engineering, architecture, and manufacturing, where measurements dictate construction processes, design integrity, and product quality. For instance, in the world of microelectronics, engineers consistently work at scales that challenge traditional measurement methods. As they operate within dimensions at the molecular or atomic level, fundamental concepts of precision blur, giving rise to new technologies that continually reshape our understanding of measurement. On a broader scale, the paradox interrogates societal perceptions of value and success, mirroring how individuals measure their achievements and ends. Our lives often revolve around comparisons, and in aspiration for precision, we become engulfed in defining our goals and aspirations in tangible terms. Just as a ruler attempts to quantify dimensions, we continuously seek to measure our personal worth against societal benchmarks, be it wealth, success, or happiness. Yet, this pursuit of precise definitions can become murky and problematic. Do finite measurements bound our understanding of fulfillment and success? The pressure to quantify aspects of life can lead to dissatisfaction as we grapple with arbitrary standards devoid of their inherent richness. Just as striving for exactness in measurement can lead one down a rabbit hole of uncertainty, pursuing perfection in life may obscure the nuance and beauty embedded within the ambiguity of existence. The paradox of the ruler also invites reflections on cultural and philosophical dimensions. Different cultures utilize various measurement systems, each grounded in distinct historical contexts. This diversity of measurement introduces questions regarding relativity. What is considered precise in one culture may be lost in translation in another. Moreover, the pursuit of measuring reality leads to existential inquiries. In philosophy, a branch called ontological measurement exists, one that delves into the nature of being, existence, and the framework of reality itself. When we measure our universe, we seek an understanding of its fundamental components, all while navigating the corners of perception that form our connections with the world around us. One could examine how modern developments in quantum physics further compound the paradox. As physicists investigate the nature of reality at the quantum level, they encounter phenomena that resist conventional measurement altogether, such as wave-particle duality and quantum entanglement. In this world, certainty dissipates, and where maximum precision falters, probabilities and uncertainties flourish. The quantum realm introduces yet another element to the paradox. Measurement transforms into a dance of probabilities, challenging our understanding of reality's very fabric. As we continue to reflect on the paradox, let's consider how the nature of measurement feeds into more profound questions regarding the act of defining concepts like time and space. Philosophers have long debated the measurement of time, questioning whether it exists independently of our perception, or if we construct it through lived experiences. This interrogation of dimensions creates a metaphysical dialogue that interconnects measurement with finding meaning in existence. Additionally, think of how technology itself embodies this paradox in our everyday lives. The development of advanced measuring devices, such as laser measurements or scanning technologies, allows for unprecedented precision. Yet, as our tools become more advanced, we still confront the paradox of uncertainty. Technology may improve our ability to measure with accuracy, but limits remain. The more we edge toward extreme precision, the more inherent complexities surface, leading us back to questioning our definitions of reality and existence. Thus, the paradox of the ruler entwines with existential themes that echo through our lives. It reinforces the importance of embracing complexity and ambiguity, recognizing that perfection may remain perpetually out of reach. Indeed, These facets of life inform our narratives, compelling us to confront the boundaries of our understanding and the limitations of our knowledge. In conclusion, the paradox of the ruler serves as a poignant reflection on the intricacies of measurement, existence, and the nature of reality. It urges us to examine the underlying principles of quantification, reminding us of the delicate balance between precision and abstraction. Each ruler and measurement, while seemingly absolute, contains layers of uncertainty and subjective interpretation. As we venture forward, we must ask ourselves, what truths exist beyond our measurements? How do we navigate a world shaped by quantification while accepting the dynamic nature of existence? As we continue to explore the tapestry of paradoxes, what journeys await us? What new revelations will unfold as we delve deeper into the fabric of knowledge and experience? The universe is vast, filled with opportunities for discovery and the ever-enigmatic exploration of what it means to measure the essence of life itself. Paradox of the ruler. Imagine the feverish excitement that envelops a community as the lottery numbers are drawn. Tickets are held tightly in eager hands, hope radiating from the crowd as dreams of untold riches dance tantalizingly in their minds. Some hope for financial freedom, while others envision luxurious lifestyles transformed by a single stroke of luck. The idea of winning the lottery, with its glimmering promise of immediate wealth, draws people into its captivating grasp, seamlessly weaving aspirations into their lives. However, amidst the glitz and glamour of jackpot dreams lies a surprising philosophical conundrum: the paradox of the lottery. This paradox illuminates a disparity between perception and reality, forcing us to confront the fascinating world of probability, luck, and human psychology. At its heart, the paradox reveals how individuals often overestimate their likelihood of winning, creating tension between rationality and the allure of hope. When someone purchases a lottery ticket, they are taking a gamble on a dream, fueled by the exhilarating possibility of wealth. Statistically, however, the odds of winning the lottery are astronomical. For most lotteries, the chances of holding the winning ticket can range from 1 in several million to even hundreds of millions. Yet, despite these staggering odds, millions of tickets are sold, each bearer convinced, or at least hoping, that their ticket could change their life forever. The crux of the paradox of the lottery lies in the contradiction between the infinitesimally small chance of winning and the overwhelming psychological allure of purchasing a ticket. While the rational mind understands that the chances of winning are nearly non-existent, the dream of winning can be so powerful that individuals may bet on it anyway. This dichotomy introduces a fascinating examination of human behavior and cognitive biases, revealing the complexities of how we engage with probability. Psychologists have extensively studied the mechanisms that drive this paradox, highlighting concepts such as the gambler's fallacy and overconfidence. The gambler's fallacy is the erroneous belief that past independent events can influence future outcomes. In the context of the lottery, players often cling to the belief that a number that has not been drawn recently is due to appear. This misconception compels individuals to invest in tickets, further skewing their perception of winning odds. The paradox of the lottery encapsulates the absurdity of such beliefs as players bend statistics to fit emotional narratives. Equally relevant is the phenomenon of overconfidence, where individuals believe they possess a greater chance of success than statistical evidence supports. This cognitive distortion enhances the emotional attachment to the idea of winning, leading people to underestimate the probabilities involved. The thrill of purchasing a ticket fosters a sense of agency, even though the underlying odds tell a different story. This paradox creates a compelling interplay between rationality and hope, a fascinating dance that characterizes the human experience. To further explore the paradox, consider the motivations that lead individuals to invest in lottery tickets. For many, the act often serves as an escape from reality, creating a temporary reprieve from financial struggles or unfulfilled ambitions. The allure of winning a life-changing sum can generate dreams of travel, luxury, and the fulfillment of lifelong desires. However, the paradoxical nature of this pursuit begs the question: does pursuing the dream of winning ultimately lead to contentment, or does it foster disappointment in an arena where success remains statistically elusive? This inquiry invites us to reflect on the socio-cultural attitudes surrounding gambling and wealth. In societies where success is often equated with financial abundance, lotteries provide a fantasy of prosperity that allows individuals to navigate their hopes and aspirations through a collective narrative. The cultural cachet attached to the lucky winner becomes a social phenomenon that captivates imagination. In the realm of economics, the paradox of the lottery intersects with behavioral finance. Research shows that people tend to make irrational financial decisions, purchasing lottery tickets, for example, despite having a relatively low expected return on their investment. These choices must be viewed through the lens of emotions, aspirations, and biases, rather than purely through the calculation of odds and probabilities. Consider the broader implications of gambling and lotteries on societal structures. When individuals prioritize chance-based games over traditional saving strategies or long-term investments, the consequences ripple through communities. Lottery revenues often fund public projects, schools, and infrastructure, yet the reliance on gambling creates ethical tensions surrounding social responsibility and welfare. As you ponder the ecosystem surrounding lotteries, you may consider the narratives surrounding winners and how these tales shape individuals' beliefs. The stories of those who become fabulously wealthy overnight fuel the imaginations of others, perpetuating the cycle of hope despite the overwhelming statistical odds against success. This juxtaposition creates an environment ripe with opportunity for both dreams and disillusionment. To illuminate these ideas further, let's delve into the psychological profile of a lottery winner. Many winners experience significant emotional turmoil following their unexpected windfalls. Strangers may descend upon them with solicitations for handouts, and friendships may shift under the weight of envy and expectation. Some winners find themselves battling panic over managing their newfound wealth, while others struggle with the emotional detachment stemming from financial success. The internal landscape of a lottery winner reflects a complex interplay of economic abundance and personal upheaval, a testament to the life-altering implications of what winning truly means. The paradox of the lottery also raises questions regarding the ethics and responsibility of promoting gambling. With gambling becoming increasingly accessible due to online platforms and apps, society must grapple with how to balance individual choice against the potential for addiction and societal harm. When dreams of winning morph into compulsive behavior, the consequences manifest not only for the individuals involved, but also for family members and communities. As we navigate the complexities surrounding the paradox of the lottery, we are also beckoned to confront the existential themes associated with chance and uncertainty. Life, much like a lottery, can be filled with unpredictability. We hold many tickets, each representing choices we make, and the outcomes remain concealed in the probability distribution of existence. The anticipation of the unknown drives our lives as we manifest our aspirations, ambitions, and relationships. Upon closer examination, the lottery symbolizes our relationship with fate and free will. Are we simply participants in a game dictated by chance, or do our decisions hold power to shape our futures? The act of purchasing a lottery ticket embodies the hope that persists even in unpredictability, a psychological affirmation of intent and desire. The moments we invest in possibilities can guide our perceptions of agency, even when it is entwined with the absurdity of improbable outcomes. In this exploration, consider the wider societal implications of gambling and the narratives we create around chance. High-stakes situations bring into focus our ethical responsibilities as individuals, communities, and policymakers. How should societies approach gambling as a form of entertainment when considering the risks of addiction, financial distress, and disillusionment? These inquiries create a dynamic conversation surrounding gambling ethics, posing fundamental questions about economic disparity and social influence. As this chapter on the paradox of the lottery concludes, we find ourselves grappling with layers of insight that cascade down into humanity's deep-seated motivations, mental frameworks, and existential pursuits. The allure of winning against all odds still resonates, pulling us into a shared dream laced with hope and uncertainty. Much like life itself, we can embrace the paradoxes we encounter, acknowledging the tensions while forging meaningful connections. The intricate dance between probability and aspiration defines our experiences as we traverse the uncertainty threading through our existence,